This is Chapter 2, Program Implementing and Evaluating Health Promotion Program Models for Program Planning and Health Promotion. We first need a little bit of background information. First of all, good health promotion programs are not created by chance. A major portion of the role of a health educator is associated with planning, implementing, and evaluating programs. Models serve as a frame from which to build structure and organizing for the planning process, and many different planning models have been developed. Some models are used more frequently than others. We have many different models and they all have some common element, but different labels. We must first understand the generalized models for program planning. Most planners will encounter situations where it's not feasible to use a model in its entirety, but we'll combine parts of the different model to meet specific needs and situations. The most critical part of any health educator or planner is a working knowledge of these basic steps, and most models have this in common. The generalized model for program planning outlines these common steps. First, they all need to assess needs, set goals and objectives, develop an intervention, implement the intervention, and evaluate goals. Understanding this generalized model will also help you to adapt and respond to complex planning tasks. Understanding generalized models is significant for a number of reasons. There are no perfect models you can use. You can use parts of a certain model or a combination of several different models. We select a specific planning model based on a couple of things: the preference of the decision makers or program partners, how much time and funding are available resources, the degree to which clients are actually involved as partners in the planning process, and the preferences of a funding agency. What helps guide your selection of your model and governs the application of its use is an important criteria labeled the 3 F's of program planning: fluidity, flexibility, functionality. Fluidity suggests that steps in the planning process are sequential or build upon one another. It is not as critical if a step is missed, but that a certain step is performed out of sequence. Flexibility, on the other hand, means that planning is adapted to the needs of the stakeholder. Functionality means that the outcome of planning is improved health conditions, not the production of a program plan itself. It is also important to ensure that the model is conducive to planning a population-based approach and that it uses ecological framework. Planners must understand that the interaction between a priority population and the communities in which they live. Currently, the most widely known model in program planning is the PRECEDE-PROCEED model. PRECEDE is an acronym for predisposing, reinforcing, and enabling constructs in educational, ecological diagnosis and evaluation. PROCEED stands for policy, regulatory, and organizational constructs in education and environmental development. It was created by Lawrence W. Green and Marshall W. Krudel. Best known and often used model, theoretically grounded, comprehensive in nature, this model has been the basis for many professional projects at the national level and was developed over the course of 20 years. It was influenced by the participation of Green and Krudel at a national policy initiatives and development of community health promotion programs such as Planned Approach to Community Health, which is again PATCH. PRECEDE-PROCEED is composed of 8 phases or steps. The underlying approach of this model is to begin by identifying the desired outcome, to determine what caused it, and finally to design an intervention aimed at reaching the desired outcome. PRECEDE-PROCEED begins with the final consequence and works backwards to the cause. Once the causes are known, an intervention can be designed. Phase 1 in the model is called social assessment and situational analysis and seeks to subjectively define the quality of life, problems, and priorities of those in a priority population. Phase 2, epidemiological assessment, is the step in which the planners use data to identify and rank the health goals or problems that may contribute to and interact with problems identified in Phase 1. These data include traditional vital indicators, mortality, morbidity, and disability data. It is important to note that ranking the health problems in this phase is critical because there are rarely, if ever, enough resources to deal with all multiple problems. Phase 3, Educational and Ecological Assessment, identifies and classifies the many factors that may have the potential to influence a given behavior into 3 categories: predisposing, reinforcing, and enabling. Predisposing factors include knowledge and many affective traits such as a person's attitude, values, belief, and perception. Barriers or vehicles created mainly by societal forces or systems make up enabling factors. Reinforcing factors comprise the different types of feedback and rewards that those of the priority population receive after behavioral change, which may either encourage or discourage the continuation of the behavior. Phase 4 is comprised of 2 parts: intervention, alignment, and administrative and policy assessment. The intent of intervention alignment is to match appropriate strategies and interventions with projected changes in outcome identified in earlier phase. It is between phases 4 and 5 that precede the assessment portion of the model ends and proceed implementation and evaluation begins. However, there is not a distinct break between the 2 phases. They really run together and planners can move back and forth between them. The 4 final phases of the model, phases 5, 6, 7, and 8, make up the proceed portion. In phase 5, implementation with appropriate resources in hand, planners select the methods and strategies of the intervention and implementation begins. Phases 6, 7, and 8 focus on the process, impact, and outcome evaluation.